The agonizing feeling of envy, sadness, melancholy, depression, anxiety will creep up. In this one, I will share my thoughts on suffering and how you can tackle this journey called life from a very zoomed out perspective. A human experience is a very peculiar one, and every person once in a while comes to realization that there's too much pain in this world, and I don't mean physical one. I have a short snippet on Jordan Peterson talking about suffering and how you should proceed in dealing with it. I'll be watching that and putting my comments in between. So let's go ahead.
Life is suffering. Right. Indisputable. What do you do about that? You voluntarily accept it and then strive to overcome the suffering that's a consequence of that. And you do that for you, and you do that in a way that makes it better for other people. And then that works. And one question might be, well, how well does it work? And the answer is, the only way that you can find out is by trying it.
So this is a very philosophical topic because very few people stop and ponder over the experiences they go through. It's inevitable. There's no denying it. Life is suffering. This great mind of ours is both blessing and a curse. So as we go through life and years pass by, we look into a mirror, we see the changes, we think about the decades that we have lived on this earth, and suddenly we realize that our accumulated archive of memories have gotten bigger and bigger for every goddamn year. And having those memories, bearing them with you, is an inevitable consequence to suffering, consequence to pain. I don't care what you say, there's no person on this earth hasn't had this consuming experience of limbo, vacuum, like you have in a black hole in your gut. You don't know what to do, you don't know what to think, you don't know what to feel. You cannot escape that emotion. Then you sit down and ask yourself, what's the meaning of all of this? Why do I suffer?
That's it. That's the existential element of it. The proof is to be derived by the incarnation of the attitude in your own life. No one can tell you how it will work for you. It's the thing that your destiny is to discover that. And you have to make the decisions to begin with. It's like, because you can't do this without commitment. You have to commit to it first. That's the act of faith that Kierkegaard was so insistent upon.
So let me establish a ground so you understand where I'm coming from. This body, this flesh, is just a minuscule part of the universe's grand plan of expansion. The cosmos is in a constant state of growth. Just think about it. For something to grow, small particles of its body, cells in our case, has to stretch out and expand and then eventually divide itself. Don't get confused, I'm just speaking metaphorically. Each time a cell divides itself, it creates a new memory, but it has nothing to do with its twin. So for the universe to expand, we have to suffer as being small parts of the universe. Because each time we suffer, each time we go through this excruciating pain, we come out from the other side wiser, more knowledgeable, having better tools to tackle the next upcoming challenges. So accepting this notion that life is truly suffering, your mission becomes to find ways to alleviate that suffering as much as possible.
You have to say, I'm going to act as if being is good. I'm going to act as if truth is the pathway to enlightenment. I'm going to act as if I should pursue the deepest meaning possible in my life. And there's reasons to do none of those. They're real reasons. So it's really a decision.
It is really a decision. Living life is a decision. You have to choose for yourself whether you will be just a passing set of eyes suffering tremendously all the time, and that never stops. Suffering is manifested in myriad of ways, so there's no pinpointing of what is suffering and what is not. Or you can choose to be active and make the choices that will soften the damage, that will soften the pain, and as a consequence to this process you get a thick skin. The kind of suffering that you previously encountered won't affect you anymore, like a mosquito bite. If you're familiar with the Maslow's pyramid, the ultimate goal of every person, consciously or subconsciously, is to reach self-actualization. I have done 2 videos on self-actualization, Maslow's pyramid. Watch this video till the end and I will put one of them at the end screen. Basically, as you climb up that pyramid, the amount of suffering you encounter will be diminished so much that your life will feel as a blessing. Think of the bottom having the most suffering and the top having the least one. I think of it like the amount of suffering goes from 1 to 0. And as you come closer to 0, you feel less and less pain in your life.
The point is that there's some games you don't get to play unless you're all in. And the other thing that's so interesting about being alive is that you're all in. No matter what you do, you're all in. This is going to kill you.
Basically, yeah.
So I think you might as well play the most magnificent game you can while you're waiting. Because do you have anything better to do? Really? Why not pick the best thing possible that you could do? Why not do that? Maybe you could justify your wretched existence to yourself that way.
So as he said, you will suffer. Life is pain. But sitting on your ass will only intensify that pain. There's so much distraction. There's so much enticement in this world. And as you watch other people flourish in what they do, the agonizing feeling of envy, sadness, melancholy, depression, anxiety will creep up because you have to do something to get food on your table. You have to work with something, and as you do and come to a realization that you hate what you do, but you have to do it, otherwise you won't eat, it becomes a chore, it becomes a torture, counting every minute spent on that place, longing after escape. At the end of your shift. People are afraid, have too much doubt. They consume too much information on what they can do and what they should do. And as those alternatives pile up, you get paralysis of analysis. And instead of choosing something, you choose nothing.
You're blind to your own weaknesses, but you're also blind to your own strengths. And so then I think, well, if you got your act together, it'd be better for you, and instantly it would be better for your family, assuming they wanted you to get your act together, and not everyone does, and then it would be better for the community. It's like, how far could you take that? If you stopped wasting time, and if you stopped lying, and if you oriented yourself to the highest possible good that you could conceive of, and you committed to that, how much good could you do?
You know, self-help community oftentimes preaches about potential, unrealized one. But my point of view is that there's no such thing as potential. Because if you don't do anything with your life, then there was none. I believe in fostering a character. And unfortunately or luckily, unless you throw out yourself out there in the middle of the ocean and trying to find your way by swimming to a shore, you will never realize how much you can accomplish. And doing something with your life is about growth, and some part of it is a distraction, so that you don't sit on your ass and get all these dark thoughts in your head and become suicidal. Because there is no meaning in life. The only thing you can do is to do something with this physical body.
You should find out. You don't have anything better to do, and there's nothing in it, as far as I've been able to tell, there's nothing in it but good. Maybe you could sort yourself out so that you wanted nothing but the good, and then maybe you could help make that manifest in the world, and maybe we wouldn't have all these terrible problems then. At least we'd have fewer of them, and that would be a start.
What we have in world, in our community, is a direct consequence of how we feel internally. And truth be told, there is no way governing people in such a way that they feel happy. Happiness is an inside job. You have to govern your own life. Feeling joy and finding peace of mind is a procedure, a process of self-accountability. Nobody will come for your rescue. The only person who can take care of you is the person you see in the mirror. And you won't know what you're capable of unless you try.
The answer to the problem of humanity is the integrity of the individual. And states that are predicated on that realization are healthy. And states that aren't are doomed to stagnation and catastrophic collapse. And personalities that are predicated on self-tyranny and the tyranny of others are doomed to collapse.
Integrity of a person is a set of values that you establish for yourself and follow them, abide by them, without bending them no matter what. And to have a solid integrity, solid core of values, you have to spend a lot of time on your own self. Take time to understand who you are. Set up a matrix of your own morals. Those will be acting as your direction in life. If you betray your own integrity, if you betray yourself, you'll become more confused and chaos will break loose from your mind. In this day and age, it's very hard, difficult to have integrity. Because you are constantly bombarded with information, sales pitch, marketing, politics. You should do this, you should do that, you should feel this way? When will you have time for yourself to establish your own persona? Something to think about.
And then you think, well, what's the barrier? And the barrier is, are you willing to accept the responsibility? And part of the answer to that is, reduce the damn responsibility until it's tolerable. You don't have to fix everything at once. You could just start by fixing the things that you could fix.
Baby steps. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. People get overwhelmed, anxious, even before dipping a toe in any endeavor that they feel appealed by. It becomes too much to handle. They see all the work that they have to do in order to get somewhere. And this paralysis of analysis, this thought addiction, defeats them long before they give it a try.
You could do it with even less self-sacrifice. You could start by fixing only the things that you want to fix. God, you can get a massive way that way. So do it. See what happens. That's what you should have been taught in university right from the beginning. It's like, aim at the highest good. Tool yourself into something that can attain it. And go out there and manifest it in the world. Everything that comes your way will be a blessing.
There's no failure in life. You either win or you learn. I will do a video on stress and how it helps to grow. But for now, you have to understand there is no growth without pain. Growth happens slightly outside of the comfort zone. So in that manner, security, safety is a total opposite of growth. So if you are seeking a stable job to go to, have a great house, a nice family so that you can live in peace and crawl slowly to your retirement, think again, because regret of unrealized potential is a pain you won't get rid of.
All you have to do is give up your resentment and your hatred. I know that's a hard thing to give up, because you have plenty of reason for it.
This resentment, this pain that you will experience is a consequence of another option that you take instead of doing something with your life. As you choose to remain as a bystander, your need for growth will ache and make you suffer even more. You are too lazy to do something about it. You are too comfortable with what you have. The point of this video is to understand that suffering is inevitable, and every decision we make in this life, every turn we take is just a single step in alleviating as much of that pain as possible. If you are interested to understand more of your psychology, to why you feel the way you do, watch one of these videos. What is your experience with suffering and how do you tackle it? But for now, make your bed.